Hello and welcome to Forum. My name is Dr. Ben Akers. I'm the Executive Director of Forum. Joining me today is Emily Wilson, a student in our graduate school here at the Augustine Institute. I'm also a professor here, so not only am I Executive Director of Forum, but I'm also a professor, so I've been blessed to have Emily in class. So Emily, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Akers.
So we're part of a series that we're talking with students that are on campus, and we're asking, why theology? Why would you come, give up key 2 years of your life and study theology here at the graduate school? So the first question I'd like to ask is, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your family.
Yeah, so I'm 25 years old, grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, in a Catholic home. I have 3 younger brothers, and yeah, that's kind of the beginning of my story.
So was the Catholic faith important to you growing up, to your family?
Yeah, being from California, there's just a lot of the culture in the area that's against the faith. And so
even though all the cities are named after saints,
exactly,
right? Like
yeah,
St. Francis, St. James,
St. Francis, St. Matthew, everyone. So I went to Catholic school my whole life, but really don't think that all of the treasures of the faith were entrusted to me in my Catholic schooling and in my formation. So there was a priority of the faith and my parents bringing all of us into the faith, but not a full formation that I desired, I think.
Sure. Well, where did you go to college? Did you want to go to Catholic college or?
Yes. So I went to Villanova University in Philadelphia and
an Augustinian school.
Yes. Yeah. St. Augustine follows me everywhere. So yeah, I studied humanities there, which is kind of like a great books program at Villanova, and received a really great formation on what it means to be a human person and how the human person relates to God and the world and society and to themselves. But yeah, kind of still had a deeper hunger for more theological formation.
Was theology part of the humanities program?
Yeah, so we have my favorite class that I took in undergrad is called God. It was a theology class.
What was it about?
We started by talking about God, but it's beautiful. We talked about the atheist arguments and then went back to creation. At the end of the atheist arguments, you just come to nothing. And so we went back to the beginning and the way that God created and kind of building an argument for the existence of God. So I got some of that, but not a full theological formation, I guess.
Did you study any Augustine
Yes, yeah. I don't know how many times I've read the Confessions, but probably upwards of 10.
Good.
So I love, St. Augustine, and he's a big focus for us.
Well, we have a series, if I could do a quick plug for a sec, we have a series of Dr. Sehorn and Dr. Elizabeth Klein, so 2 professors here you've had talking about the Confessions. So it's a 6-part series. It's just launching and formed this fall. And we're excited about it because the Confessions is such an incredible book written by our patron at the Augustine Institute, but it's also just a book of the person's search for God, but realizing that God has been searching for him. Yes.
Oh, I've learned so much more about the Confessions also being at the Augustine Institute, just that it's so scriptural. It's just a prayer of St. Augustine. It's not even an autobiography. It's just him, recounting his life to the Lord, and with the scriptural lens, it's so good.
Yeah, you're really being invited into his prayer. And it's a Lectio Divina because it is so scriptural. He's praying the scriptures, and you get invited to see how does a saint pray? And it's 13 books, in this one big book of a saint praying. So you studied humanities, which sounds great. I studied liberal arts in undergraduate, so I loved all the same subjects that you studied. Really opened my mind to having a relationship with the Lord and just seeing the world differently and always wanting to read and learn. Did you think about joining the Augustine Institute then when you were at undergrad?
I did. I was looking at a lot of different graduate school programs kind of with this thirst for deeper theological formation, but felt like the Lord was inviting me to foreign missions. So I served in Honduras for 3 years as a missionary and just had a desire to pour myself out after receiving so much in my undergraduate career. Just felt like that was where the Lord was leading me. And then it was beautiful at the end of my time in Honduras, the questions start coming up. What am I going to do next? And I love Joy of the Gospel by Pope Francis. And he talks so many people in the church talk about missionary discipleship and that we're all called at both times to be missionaries and to be disciples. And the Lord revealing to me at the end of my time in Honduras, okay, you've been my missionary for the past 3 years. You've been giving of yourself and preaching the gospel, but it's time to come back and be a disciple. Come and sit at my feet and come be my student again. So
So you thought about graduate school even when you were ending your missionary time. You thought, maybe I want to go back to graduate school and study theology. Were there other schools you were looking at?
Yeah, I was. The church, there's just good stuff going on in the church right now.
There's lots of good options.
And
absolutely.
lots of great programs.
What was it about the AI that kind of attracted you the most?
Oh, there are so many things. I'm passionate about our leadership program, the Leadership for the New Evangelization.
So for the viewers at home might be watching this for the first time, you can tell them about the two different tracks that we offer.
Yes, so we have two tracks. One is a theology track, and one is Leadership for the New Evangelization. And also people studying theology sometimes do kind of a concentration in sacred scripture. But yeah, our leadership program is just so united with the church in forming lay disciples to serve the church and be collaborators in the new evangelization. And the leadership program specifically has 4 pillars. So we have the academic pillar, intellectual formation, which is the core of what we're doing in graduate school, but also has a spirituality pillar. And so we read Soul of the Apostolate, and we talk about the importance of a daily prayer life, and that we're not just studying for studying's sake so that I can be smarter, so that I can articulate things, articulate particular teachings in the right way, but I'm here to love Jesus more, and I'm here to learn how to pray. And
ministry is dependent. The big thesis of that book is ministry depends upon mystical union, that you have to have that relationship with Christ, and if from that relationship with Christ, then you'll bear fruit, a branch connected to the vine.
Yes, and for our professors to really model that for us, to talk in every single class that I've been here, the professors talking about the importance of daily prayer and your relationship with the Lord, and taking what we're learning into your prayer time. And
hopefully you see us at prayer.
Yes, yeah, and we have mass every day here at the Institute, and I've been so inspired here by the witness of professors. You guys get to see Dr. Akers unformed, but you don't get to see him pray in the chapel. And to just witness the humility, the humility of our professors, and that they, don't pretend to be experts, but just fellow students, still striving to grow in relationship with the Lord.
One of the key parts of our leadership track is also a practicum.
Yes.
Can you speak to that and tell people what that means?
Yeah, our track has a huge focus on pastoral care. So what's the way that we teach the faith? And so a really practical way that we do that in the leadership program is having practicum experiences. So it's kind of like an internship every semester with a different apostolate or parish, or working here at the Augustine Institute. And we just get to learn from mentors that are already working for the church and already living the life that we want to live. So supporting that apostolate, but also learning from those that are in that position already.
I love that part of the program, because we're so resource rich here in the Archdiocese of Denver. We have so many wonderful apostolates that have started because of John Paul II's visit to World Youth Day in '93. And we've had archbishops have been very supportive of starting apostolates here. And so many times students will come to campus I think I want to be a youth minister. And so we're like, well, let's pair you with a great youth minister. Yes. They get to youth ministry I don't want to be a youth minister, but better to find that out now than to take a full-time position after you graduate. But then some people are like, well, I'm not sure if I want to teach or not. And they get to shadow a great teacher and get some classroom experience. And I really do think that this is such a strong program that we offer.
Yes. And what I love about the Augustine Institute also is that we get to go to a graduate school that's a part of a greater apostolate. Just in reflecting on what's unique about the Augustine Institute, that we're in the Augustine Institute studios right now, that films content performed, that millions of people watch, and we're down the hall from my classroom where my professor is also working on our Word of Life curriculum, that's going to help support Catholic schools. So it's beautiful to get to study here in the graduate school, but we're also so fed by the other missions of the Institute and the other work that the Augustine Institute is doing. So we're not just studying theology in a bubble. We're in the real pastoral world of the church.
Yep. What's a class here? I would like to ask the students, what's one of your favorite classes? I know they're all your favorite, but what's a class that you really liked?
It's so hard.
Maybe you learned something that you didn't think that you'd learn.
Yes.
Or surprised to learn.
Well, one thing for me that was huge was our creed class. We have 3 classes that focus on the 4 pillars of the catechism. And so your first semester, you're in creed as the first pillar of the catechism, diving deep. And I remember leaving that class the first day and saying, this is what I've been waiting for. this is what I've wanted, is to really know what the church teaches. I just feel like, oh my goodness, the Catechism is such a rich and beautiful work that if you want to know your faith, the Catechism is, just such a beautiful resource. And no one had taught me catechesis before. No one had taught me how to use the Catechism. And
well, it's a daunting text. We don't have it in front of us, but it looks so big. Huge. And then everyone thinks that when you open it up, the very first paragraph is going to say, do all the things in this book or you're going to hell, right? This is how to make your life miserable. But the very first paragraph is God infinitely perfect and blessed in himself in a plan of sheer goodness, invites us into this share in his own blessed life. It's like, oh, it's blessing. It's a story of blessing. It's a story of invitation. It's a story of hope.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all of our professors have that line memorized. Everyone knows the first paragraph.
I encourage you to do the same. Catechism paragraph 1.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I think another class that really stood out to me was a leadership-specific class called Catechesis for the New Evangelization. And we read the church's documents, the General Directory for Catechesis. The church tells us how to teach the faith. And I never knew. I never knew that a document like that existed. And so just going through that and learning how Mother Church asks us to teach the faith, and this huge emphasis on Christocentricity, that Jesus is at the center of all of it. So whatever topic we want to talk about in the church, if we start with Jesus, if we start at the center, we're going to draw people into beauty, and we're going to draw people into relationship with him. And then big topics seem way less scary when we just focus on the Lord. And then kind of build out the teaching from a centrality of focusing on Jesus. So I felt so equipped after taking that class of, oh, that's how I teach the faith. I start with Jesus and then kind of expand the doctrine from there.
Now, you're from California, as you picked up and moved here to Denver, Colorado. Can you share some stories about what it's like to be in Denver and what's it like with your fellow students? Like, what does it look like outside of the classroom?
Yes, we're so blessed. Just John Paul II knew what he was doing when he came to Denver in 1993, and we just continue to soak in the fruits. The young adult community in Denver is amazing. It's so typical to go to a Sunday Mass or a daily Mass and see the church full of young adults. So it's a joy, to be here specifically in Denver and to just soak in the riches of all of that. And we're theology students, but we're also normal young adults. And so we hike on the weekends and hang out and have barbecues and cookouts. And it's a really rich student life.
Do you live in a household with other students, or do you?
Last year I did, yes. So there were 5 of us living together. It was my favorite thing to say that Dr. Tim Gray, biblical scholar, was my landlord because we live right next door to Dr. Gray, if you've seen him on the Formed Dailies. In this totally Catholic neighborhood. There happened to live a bunch of professors and other students from the Institute in that neighborhood. So we'd go on rosary walks around the neighborhood and run into our other neighbors. So that was great.
Yeah, that's really neat. What would be, so we talked about student life. What is, you mentioned a little bit about your professors, but what kind of access do you have to your professors here?
Oh, it's so nice being in such a small program. There's probably about 50 of us that are on campus. And to just have that close access, professors are so accessible to just go knock on their door. And so many times I've just been dropping off a book or asking a quick question and then sit down and talk for 30 minutes about what is the sign of peace and why is that important in the Mass and what are the ancient traditions of that? So just the accessibility is so beautiful. And like I said before, the witness of faith, being able to pray in the chapel and go to daily Mass and see our professors' life with the Lord, just that witness of holiness has been huge for me.
What would you say, if you're thinking about you're discerning what to do after graduation, like everybody is, we're what am I supposed to do after I graduate? Because some might say, why would you go and waste, right? We wouldn't say this, but someone might say, why would you go waste 2 years of your life to study theology? Because what are you going to do with that? Just, do you want fries with that? It sounds like you already studied humanities. Why else would you also study theology?
Just another.
What would you say to someone who's, who's thinking about why would you study theology?
Oh, well, something.
And what would someone do after theology?
Yeah, one of our professors on our first day of salvation history said that all of the work that you're doing in studying now is really just investment in the people that you're ministering to later. So nice. If I choose to read Leviticus or not read Leviticus, is that person that I'm going to be ministering to in the next few years worth it to be able to explain the Old Covenant and the Old Laws? So I I'm a passionate person. I have lots of dreams, but I love parish life and could see myself working in a parish, supporting it in catechesis. I also love retreat ministry and have learned so much here about inviting people into the mysteries of the faith. I think retreats are a beautiful way to do that, to take some time apart to grow in relationship with the Lord. So lots of different dreams, but I'm here to study because those people that I'm going to work with are worth it. So
I love the way you put that. That is a beautiful way to put it. That with the time you put in studying is the investment you're pouring into your future ministry and future work. And Frank Sheed is a Catholic theologian. He has that wonderful line in Theology and Sanity where he said, "Every new thing that we learn about God is another reason to love Him."
Yes.
So we just want to learn more and more, just like in a natural relationship of love, where the beloved wants to know more and more about the other, because it makes them love, better. And so that's great. It's an investment in the future. Do you feel like you've been equipped for that? Like, because you're on the downslope in your second year here.
Yes.
Do you think you'd be equipped for what the Lord might be calling you to?
Oh, yes. I was talking with Dr. Akers the other day about the study of theology, and I think the Augustine Institute equips people to be utility players, like that we're not just moral theologians or Old Testament scripture scholars or catechists, but it's really all of those things. And I love our curriculum. If you're discerning studying at the Augustine Institute, I encourage you to look at the curriculum guides that we have online just to see all of the classes that we take. I think, this graduate school totally helps us to be utility players, to be able to articulate a lot of different aspects of the church.
And this is what the church needs really today is, like Paul's encouragement to be all things to all people.
Yes.
Is to be ready to talk to people about scripture, to talk to people about the catechism, to help people in the, maybe a challenging part that they have in their life, and you've received ministerial practice to go and, be present to them. If someone's watching and they're really thinking, should I study theology? Should I make the leap? We have a distance education program as well. So we have about 400 students that are studying in the program, same program, distance education. So I invite you to do that if you can't come to Denver. But what's someone who's watching this, you want to kind of tell them about the program and why they should consider it?
Yes. So I was just at Mass and praying and really asking the Lord, like, okay, what do you want to speak to anyone who might see this video? And He brought me to the multiplication of the loaves and fishes. And depending on the account that you read, Jesus was either healing the sick or He had just been teaching. And then the disciples recognize a need. They see that the people are hungry, and so they come to Jesus with that need. And maybe people that are watching recognize a need in the church, in your own parish, in your own community, in your own family, and a need to know Jesus and have a deeper formation. And Jesus also recognizes the need, and He says, "Give me the little that you have, these 5 loaves and 2 fishes," and He multiplies it in abundance. And so, I just think like a question for prayer could be like, what is that which the Lord wants to multiply in my life? Because I recognize the need, I'm bringing it to the Lord, and how could the Lord, want to provide abundance in your life? Take the little that you have, this little tiny yes to study one class, distance education, or to come to Denver and study theology. The Lord will take that little that you give Him and multiply it in abundance for yourself, for your own personal enrichment and life with Him, but also for your greater community. So just maybe a question for prayer. What is the more that the Lord wants for my life?
I love that. Thank you, Emily, for saying yes and bringing your 5 loaves and 2 fish to our community. It's been a blessing to have you as part of the graduate school community here. And I love that the Lord will take the little we have and multiply it, but we have to give it to Him. The apostles, what is so few for so many? And we can look at what we lack, but we also look at what we have. When we give what we have to the Lord, He'll do the multiplication.
Amen.
So thank you for joining me, Emily. Thank you for saying
Dr.
yes. Thank you for
Akers.
joining us in our series on why theology, where we talk about why a student might come and study in a graduate school and receive a master's degree in theology. Thank you for your support of the Augustine Institute. You can find out more at augustineinstitute.org about our graduate school. Thank you for joining us, and God bless.